इससे आ जाओ। हेलो हेलो हेलो, हरे कृष्ण।
sir. So just to recap, everyone wants freedom. So freedom is the most wanted, and in terms of activation. So the granularity of freedom should not be exercised at the level of activity, but the granularity of freedom lab happens on a breadboard. Morning style is same. We use Streamlabs only for the morning translation also. There is not much difference between the morning style and this style. It's just that we are adding a PowerPoint. Either it is the internet problem at this point of time. From the beginning. So the activity matrix is very much like configuring a particular circuitry in an electronics laboratory. The moment you enter an electronics laboratory, all the activities, there are rows and columns and there are holes. The moment we plug into a hole that completes the particular circuitry, current starts flowing into the component which is plugged in into that hole. Now whether it is a particular pin of an IC, or whether it is a diode, or whether it is a resistor, or whether it is a capacitor, the moment it is plugged into a hole, the current starts flowing into the component which is plugged in. In the same way, we can understand that in life also there are these holes. So activity or action is very much like the flow of current, but this flow of current very much depends on what kind of thoughts we have. So the moment a person starts thinking in a particular way, that particular hole gets gets filled up, and when that hole gets filled up, it forces current of activities to flow in that direction. So therefore, if one thinks negatively, it fills up the negative hole and the current starts flowing on negative trajectories, and therefore activities take a negative turn. If one thinks in divine formats, then the current starts flowing in divine trajectories and one's activities take a divine turn. So in this way, we can understand that this whole connection is the connection of is a breadboard connectivity. Therefore, our thoughts are completing the circuitry. Shri Ishopanishad describes that this world is perfect and complete. Now we may say, okay, in what respect? In all the respects. This world is perfect and complete in all the respect. If one wants to stay in illusion, the world has a perfect circuitry to keep one in illusion and intoxication under a person can be in intoxication for eternity. A person can remain bewitched for eternity. Perfect, complete, absolute arrangement is there. And if one wants to be liberated, the world offers perfect and complete facility for that also. So this world has perfect circuitry that it can incriminate any amount of suffering on the individual. It can also offer or bestow any amount of happiness on an individual. All these circuitries are laid out in this world. So one can satiate all kinds of desires, material desires, divine desires, godly desires, transcendental desires, everything can be satisfied in this world. The entire circuitry is there. But what is the deciding matrix? The deciding matrix is thought. It is what we think about is what decides. The deciding matrix is thought. So therefore, the important question or the interesting question which we wanted to explore today was what controls biology? Yes, physical manifestation of things outside, but physical manifestation of things within our own body itself. What controls biology? The answer is yes, there are circuitries which are present. These circuitries in more technical terms they are described as genes. Genes can control biology. But interestingly, the environment controls genes. So therefore, the interesting aspect is our behavior. It's just like we see from a layman's perspective talking about our health, there are certain things which we have control over about our health, and there are certain other things which we don't have any control over about our health. So when it comes to health matrix, some things are easy, some things are difficult. Just like, say for example, becoming fatty is very easy. You can just hog around, you can just gulp down anything, and one can become fatty. In a month, 2 months time, one can become fatty. But to become thin or to burn off that fat is not easy. So that's not easy. That's quite difficult. So therefore, many times when it comes to actually maintaining one's health, burning out the fats, or protecting oneself from keeping a sound health, not landing up or succumbing to obese, the health experts talk about that yes, one has to do two things. They said, okay, the first thing which one has to do is exercise. So when one is doing exercise, then one is actually doing, burnout has to happen. Rather, burnout can be a little more than intake, so that the excess semi-digested fatty layers can start getting dissolved. So exercise, the regular exercise, a rigorous exercise, that so whatever has been credited has to be debited, and therefore the ledger balance has to be set right. So that's one dimension of health. By health experts is diet. Health experts say that yes, diet is an important parameter, because if one is simply exercising but one's diet is unhealthy, that means one is taking food which is very high in calorific value, which involves a very high calorie intake. It may be palatable, but then it is not very healthy in that sense. So when one has a wrong intake, then no matter however amount of exercise takes place, the person will never see any transformation. So exercise is one parameter. Intake is another parameter. But interestingly enough, even from a biological perspective, there is a third dimension, and the third dimension is the third dimension of control, or the third pivotal dimension is the dimension of thought. So, is the dimension of thought. So many physical disorders have a psychic origin, and therefore if the cure is given only on a physical level, the disease is not cured. So therefore a parallel psychic cure has also to be given. It's just like, as a thumb rule, when people people get stressed out and start thriving on highly tensed, highly atmosphere, gates are all permeated with tension, hypertension, then in that case what happens is that the first thing which starts malfunctioning is the digestive system. It's just dependent upon the first thing starts malfunctioning is the digestive system, and when that malfunctions, then it's a major malfunctioning which happens in the body. The body starts becoming like a vegetable. So as good as a vegetable. So in this way we can try to understand that yes, thought is an important dimension. Rather, many times doctors have a point that a patient who is enthusiastic, who wants to get cured, who is taking up or seeing things from a positive perspective, that yes, soon I'm going to get cured, such a patient, than somebody who is just overwhelmed by the amount of pain or the amount of agony in a particular situation. So that's the That's the matrix which we can understand. So it is our, so therefore we can understand it is these thoughts which can control our health. And thoughts and beliefs. So, so thoughts are specifications and belief is a template. Faith in God. Faith in God is an absolute necessity for survival. It's as important as breathing. It's our breath actually, because that faith in God installs the positive belief systems, which are like, when it comes to positive transformation, when it comes to auspiciousness, it is only possible on grounds of faithfulness. For the faithless, there is no auspiciousness. There is the evolution is not possible. Only devolution is possible. Connected to the power that is not there, it is to the granularity. If we zoom in, so just like from the brain, the various decisions are executed, and therefore the various yes, internal or external. When it comes to a cell, expect 3 months. To a discussing about or probing mankind has been and then where removal of or a severe injury in the brain also did not affect the functioning of the body. So it's like so there we were making the point that yes, human brain is like a computer, or like suppose in a shopping mall complex, a human brain is like working very nicely, then you can function efficiently. Or if a person has a laptop, then he can function efficiently. But if the laptop is not there, still the functioning is possible. In a similar way, if nucleus is not there, still the functioning of the cell is possible. So this takes us to a very interesting conclusion, and the conclusion is that you see, we can clearly understand that the brain, in regards to the body, and the nucleus in regards to the cell are intermediary. So the nucleus is the execution unit. It is intermediary. It is the execution unit actually. So in that respect, we can say that yes, the brain is the execution unit. So if brain is simply the execution unit, the hardware, then where is the operating system? Where is the software which drives the brain? So that software comes, it's just like, okay, in a computer, there is hardware. So in a brain, in the human body, in a similar way, the hardware is the brain. But if the hardware is the brain, then where is the software? Where is the software? The software are the thoughts. So when one thinks in a particular way, then a certain program is executed. And when a certain program is executed, then the hardware can just print it. That's all. That's all. So this is very interesting. This goes to show that yes, it is the software which is the activation unit. So the thought is the activator, the brain is the executor. And therefore, the thoughts have to be harnessed. The thoughts have to be harnessed. That's why now we can appreciate the Shastras are talking about that, the Shastras are focusing or zooming on internal conquest. And the Shastras say that yes, internal conquest is the most important. External conquest will just follow. But it is the internal conquest which is the most important. And therefore, that's the point. So now the thought is the activator. It is the internal conquest which is most important, and the thought activates everything. Now we may say, okay, but then the thoughts are also, when the thoughts pick up momentum and the thoughts have inertia in themselves, then how to change the thoughts? So, and that's what Arjuna was asking, that a person is propelled towards lust, towards anger. A person is simply propelled towards lust and anger. So it is these. It's these. Now, how to change the momentum of the thoughts? And the Lord explains, or the Shastras explain, the Acharyas explain that you can change the directionality of thoughts by the power of desire. By the power of desire. So if one desires that yes, I want to come out of this, I want to take shelter of God, I want to overcome these conditionings, that desire can change the directionality of the thoughts. Because thoughts are provocative. But by the power of desire, one can resist that provocation. One can resist that provocation. So therefore, the Shastras are talking about that yes, what is most important is, that one has to win the inner battle first. And this is where we can see our modern day lifestyle is lacking, because people gave a lot of importance to that which is gross, but people are not giving importance at all to that which is subtle. Just like when it comes to say hygienic food, and people are so meticulous about what to eat, what not to eat, or when people go out, they are so meticulous about okay, what type of water to drink. It should be filtered water, hygienic, non-hygienic, so on and so forth. So people are so conscious about that. But what kind of thoughts a person is harboring, in which directions one is thinking? It's not okay to think in any way, because if you think in a wrong way, then you will be forced to act in that way. So therefore, if we want to stop wrong activity, we have to stop wrong thoughts. And to stop, now the next point comes is that how to stop wrong thoughts. Now to stop wrong thoughts, we need to stop the wrong food. So we need to stop the wrong food for thoughts actually. This is the point which we have to understand. So one of our teachers gave an interesting example. He said, a person, say traveling in a flight, he may be very cautious about that. Okay, the water he drinks, has to be Bisleri, it has to be, filtered, and it should be distilled, and so on. But the same person will be having distilled water in one hand, and the same person will be having some cheap sensual magazine on the other hand. In the other hand. So when it comes to the body, the intake to the body, one is so careful, but one is so callous towards what kind of intake we are giving to the mind. If you give sensual and cheap intake to the mind, then the whole human body is like a machinery, garbage in, garbage out. And then we say that okay, why is it difficult to control? Why self-control is so difficult actually? It is so difficult because as long as we don't change the diet, as long as we do not take to a transcendental diet, And therefore, the Shastras are talking about, therefore the Acharyas are pleading to us that we should feed ourselves properly. That's why one of the major presents of the process of yoga is to feed transcendental food. Because if you have a proper diet, then only, if we have a proper diet, then only we can think of changing our thoughts. And now, whether we want to have a sensual diet or whether we want to have a transcendental diet, that is the only power. So life, everything is so complex. But whereas on a transcendental polarity, things become very easy and things become completely in control. That is the power of desire which we want to exercise. So yes, in genetic research, there was this phase in which as people were getting to know about genes and the genetic codes, there was this level of excitement because genes were being mapped or related to behavioral traits, and therefore the point which was coming evident was that okay, genes decide behaviors. Actually, it is the kind of genes which decides behaviors, because genes are genetic codes and these codes get translated into behavioral patterns actually. So, and therefore the whole idea or the whole drive started that okay, so now if you say okay, genes are behavioral, so it's very interesting, like if you know the genetic code of how to produce an organ, then actually you can produce the organ. It was seen as simple as that. And therefore the whole drive started that okay, in that sense we can see that okay, behavioral patterns are the building blocks of life. So in that sense, if we know the genetic code completely, we can generate life. And that was the idea, that yes, we can generate life. And therefore actually world research took an interesting and fierce turn towards this aspect, that let's try to understand what all genes make up the human body. And with that actually kick-started the what is called as a famous human genome project actually, which lasted for a decade or so, in which hundreds of scientists from all over the world, there were two groups of scientists who were researching parallelly, and both of them came to similar conclusions. One of the conclusions was published in Nature, the other conclusion was published in Science. So now when it comes to, so the interesting thing was the whole race was to find out all the genes. So now the question is, if genes were to control everything, so then the research was in the chase for all the genes. So what we need is around 1,20,000 genes actually. People's actually in one paper or so. So one of them came up with the conclusion that yes, one of them came up with the conclusion of revealing only some 27,000 genes, and the other one came up with the conclusion of revealing some 30,000 genes actually. So this was very interesting. Why? Because So the entire research could only unravel these 27,000 or 28,000 genes actually, whereas the needed is 1,20,000 genes. So where are the other genes? So this was very interesting. That means that the person from birth is only having 27 or 28,000 genes, whereas his whole lifespan he will need 1,20,000 genes. So where are the other ones? And thus came the amazing revelation that yes, the remaining genes of genes, he's only born with a certain set of genes. He puts himself in based on what kind of thoughts he has, that triggers and produces further genes. So this goes to show is that okay, this goes to show that yes, I mean, in this way, in one sense, this thwarted the entire desire to be able to create life, because we can understand that yes, we have some control, and we have a certain area of territory which is given to us to understand, and we have a certain area of territory which is given to us to manipulate. But there is a control beyond our, beyond what is sanctioned to us. And there is a territory which is beyond what is sanctioned to us. And that's where the aspect of what Shastras call as Daiva comes in. That yes, there are these demigods, and there are these demigods, and there are these empowered representatives of God called as demigods. They play in. So all the genes are not present. There are only few genes present. The remaining genes, they will be installed in the person. That is where higher powers are present. And the second aspect what we can learn here is that in any given situation there is not complete rigidity in the system. The entire system is not fixed totally. There is certain amount of fixity, but there is but there is a big half of, or a big semi hemispherical open area for us where we can exercise our freedom. So in fact, we can understand this is how karma works. Karma works very interestingly. This is exactly how karma works. When a person performs an activity, that activity locks up. But now a person is not born with all the genes he will need throughout his life. So that means that the Lord never creates a complete absolute conditioning for the living entity. So yes, if a person has been sinful reactions will come to him. So that means he will be having genes which can incriminate. So we have to understand conditionings can never close us completely. That is how the Lord has arranged. So therefore we will see the sinful proclivities are provocative. But so they are provocative. They are not like chains which are dragging us. They are provocations. They are so it's like they are who is conditioned more to exercise is more. Any positive motion will be slower. But if the conditioning is less, the positive motion is faster. That fact is there. But the point to note is that karma never closes us completely. So we can see the gross manifestation of that on the level of the genes. On the level of the genes. So 2/3 of the genes are missing. Well, to do that. So there is a good amount of similarity in the functioning of the cells. Again, this is a gross manifestation of how, see, these similarities are instructive for us. And the lesson what we can learn here is that everything is interlinked in this world. The gross is linked to the subtle. This can help us understand. There is interlinking. So therefore, facade. It is a misnomer because everything is interlinked. Nature in such a way that if we want to learn, we can learn from anything in nature. If you don't want to see outside, we can see in our own body. There is so much precision, there is so much complexity within our own bodies. By that, we can understand we can understand the hand of the God. So, the Lord is explaining nature that if we want to learn a lesson, the Lord is ready to teach a lesson, or we can learn a lesson. We can understand the worldview of the body is like that of a war field. So there is attack, there is intrusion which is happening, there is attack which is happening, and so nothing is cozy. We see in the body systems, what the field of the body. A cozy ground in this middle for upholding the there is actually more new cells is in our reach what thought patterns actually focuses on generation. Let's generate dharma. That's a lesson which we can learn. So yes, in that sense we can understand the world is inside out. Proteins are beaded strings, and each types of amino acids. The ordering of the types gives the code. So now, the shape of the amino acids in the sequence, the DNA sequence, determines the shape of the proteins. So, we will see actually the DNA and the proteins are coupled with each other actually. So now the DNA and the proteins are coupled with each other in the human body. Now, on one hand, the proteins are offering support. A little later, it's a very interesting and instructive thread, which we will touch on a little later. Creativity, but what is very important to focus on, see that if there is a proper actually, we will now see it a little more in detail a little later as well. But what has been seen is that, say for example, a person from his say for example, a person itself, proteins only when the so now that means on a body ways of the channels the protection. So let's go very that okay producing the baby, because interesting thought and which is controlling and passing on the signals, what signals to pass, what not to pass, what to filter, what that's the membrane. So therefore this is very interesting and instructive for us in life, that what kind of negative, that is something of paramount importance in our life. If things rightly, and life takes a negative turn, where we can see the gift, how just like in human body also loses the discriminative power, its own sinister situation can become so prominent and so heavy that many times one can lose discrimination power. Therefore the Lord has given us instant reinstallation module in terms of the Shastras. The moment one associates or one associates with the Shastras, immediately the reinstallation of discriminative power takes place. What is right, what is wrong? The moment one submerges himself in hearing of the holy names of the Lord, the mantra, the glorification of the Lord, the reinstallation takes place. The moment one associates with the devotees of the Lord, the reinstallation takes place. So the Lord has given these metrics of reinstallation, because what happens is that if our installation becomes virus infected and we lose the discriminative power, then everything will be perceived wrongly. That which is a poison or a toxin will be perceived as amrita, and one may happily keep drinking it, and in that way one may so that becomes suicidal. And this is what Shastra is described as Atmaha. When a person loses his discrimination power and he lives and he starts leading a life based on gross sensuality, then he is committing suicide. Atmaha, he is killing himself. So therefore in biology they say that, okay, so it is this membrane which produces the manifestation of the shape and the manifestation of the blueprints all happens through the membrane. So yes, if we have the right perceptions, it will install the right kind of blueprints, and it will give the right shape even on the gross physical plane. So Nesh Boye made a very interesting statement. He said, okay, so when a gene product is needed, a signal from its environment and not an emergent property of the gene itself activates the expression. But it is basically an environment which signals, and according to the signal of the environment, it is only according to the signal of the environment the gene expresses itself. So that's where now we are learning the importance of perception, of the awareness of the environment. That's where we are learning about the awareness of the environment or perception. So now this is interesting. So what does it say that? So previously we told that in terms of genes that one's karma can be incriminated. So if somebody has to suffer from some sinful reaction, then he may have a cancer producing genes in his body. Like that. So anyways, in biology many times it is seen that a person may have a cancer producing genes from his heredity. That means right from his birth he is having those genes, but then they were capped, and the gene only activates at say 35, 40 or 45 age, and it is at that stage when the person gets cancer. But that means 40 years the gene was resting and it simply got activated. So that is the time according to karma, when a person was supposed to get the sinful reaction. Now something very interesting comes in here. Research of how karma is working, but we can also get an understanding of what we can do to save the situation. So yes, there is half closure, but there is half opening. So now I want to focus on the half opening. Now research has So before we talk about research, so now if we talk about say for example chromosomes, so chromosomes are basically made up of DNA and protein, and it's not 50-50. Proteins form the majority of the chromosomes actually. So now we'll come to this very interesting cause of a certain sinful reaction. So now we're talking about the case study of a person. Because of a certain sinful reaction, the person is supposed to and therefore he is having so that pain will come in the form of cancer, and therefore the cancer producing genes is there in his body from birth. So now the circuitry of how it will manifest may be through heredity. Okay, so because again that is linked actually. So the karma algorithms work in such a way that a person of a particular mentality is born in a family where that mentality can be favored. Majorly it's like that. As a thumb rule it's like that. So as a thumb rule it's like that. So so this is what happens. Now research has shown that if a person harbors positive thoughts, if he fills himself in positive thoughts, then what happens is that this protein covering of a negative genes never opens up. It is only when a person surrounds himself into negative thoughts, thoughts of fear, anger, lust, that these negative genes open up, their capping of proteins opens up and they get activated. But when a person surrounds himself with positive thoughts, it delays or it completely stops the. So this is the interesting aspect of the opening which we want to focus upon. That positive thoughts can it is the spiritual life is all about now bathing ourselves, diving into this ocean of positivity, into transcendental environment which is all auspicious, which is filled or loaded with divine qualities and divine value systems and divine visions. It is all about surrounding oneself, and therefore the Shastras are explaining that don't worry about how intense or how nasty conditioning set you have, because whatever you have, there is always some amount of opening. Fill it with transcendence, fill the little bit opening what you have with transcendental subject matter, and by that power, all the closure will start getting dissolved. So yes, DNA, RNA, and that what will be capped, what will be activity, that is like a, so it doesn't depend upon the amount of negativity. No, lay the cornerstone of positivity and keep growing it actually, and if you keep growing it, there is no cessation.